Our coverage of CES 2026 from Las Vegas, Nevada is brought to you by Thermaltake, Gigabyte, Asus, and MSI. We would all love to forget the current memory situation. See what I did there? But it's just something that's ongoing right now, and it's probably not going to be solved until there's either a major market shift or new fabs are built, something like that. I wanted to cover a memory manufacturer, someone in the memory manufacturing pipeline here at CES 2026, and guess what? It's not Acer. There's an Acer Predator display behind me. We've got more Acer products over here. I'm introducing you to these products because you've probably heard of Acer before. But while you might be familiar with Acer as a brand, you might not know that Acer actually does not manufacture certain things like their memory sticks. See where it says OC optimized there? That is actually a BiWin brand. BiWin is a memory manufacturer, and while they are not one of the big three that have the fabs that produce the wafers, they are actually a unique memory manufacturer in that they buy uncut wafers, and then they do everything that is needed to cut those wafers, sand them down, and integrate them into products, put them onto PCBs, and then they have a range of products that they sell directly, and then they also work with companies like Acer to provide them with the products that Acer then takes and puts their label on and sells as Acer products. It's similar to a way that a lot of OEM manufacturers works in the industry, but BiWin is distinctly different in that relationship because they do a lot of the packaging, a lot of the service for the products, and because of that, I wanted to show you some of the products that they have on display here at CES 2026. There are a lot of electronics products out there, and all of them have memory to some degree, whether you're talking about like smart glasses, gaming devices, something like a smartphone, vehicles, of course, autonomous things, VR displays. They all might have different types of memory, and there's actually a really cool display of many different varieties of that right here. So this, for example, is a single integrated circuit of LPDDR5, and you guys, if you're into PC building, have probably used DDR5 memory. There's going to be a set of these that get added to a PCB for a dual inline memory module, and then that would maybe have a heatsink slapped onto it, and then that would be sold as a memory kit. I'm not going to attempt to cover every application for all of these different types of memory chips that are produced, such as EPOP4X. We have DDR4 right here. We have a couple different variations of DDR5. This is an eMCP4X chip, which would be used in eMMC applications. So BiWin works with all three major memory fabricators, which would be SK Hynix, Samsung, and Micron. They sometimes manufacture these chips that are then sold to other companies to integrate, and then they sometimes integrate the chips onto their own products, such as something like this that you might be familiar with, an M.2 SSD. Because BiWin works with raw wafers that they purchase, though, they actually have a lot more granular control over the products that they sell versus a company that is maybe working with a company like BiWin to purchase DIMMs or other devices that they then put their brand name on. So getting back to more typical system RAM, which you may have a love-hate relationship right now, like you'd love to have some, but you hate how much the price is currently, BiWin has several different varieties of DRAM that they actually put together and sell directly. This is their OC optimized set, but you can see this kit is actually pretty bonkers in terms of the specs for it. It's a 192 gig kit. That's 4 48 gigabyte DIMMs, which means I could steal this and run out of here and probably hawk it in Las Vegas and buy a house. But it also is running at DDR5 6000 speed with CL28 timings. For a kit of this capacity, and especially a 4-DIMM kit, and especially on AMD, which can be quite finicky with 4-DIMM configurations, those specs are quite impressive. I will also say, in terms of aesthetics, some very nice RGB diffusion there as well. So I grabbed one of BiWin's more business-oriented models here simply because it doesn't have a heat spreader on it, just to show you. There are 4 of the memory modules. There's 4 more underneath the sticker right there. But the reason BiWin is able to put together kits like that one that have such high capacity and also high speeds is because they actually hand bin their memory modules. Yes, hand binning. They will start out with a test stick that has blank spots to apply the memory chips to. And then they will test them to make sure that they can all hit those high speeds. Now, this is specifically what they do for their OC optimized models, which are the ones that can hit the higher speeds as well as the higher speeds combined with higher capacity kits. So it is through that hand binning process that BiWin is able to produce some really impressive memory kits. And you might not have heard of BiWin before, but that's why I started introducing you with one of the companies BiWin works with, Acer, who has a little bit more of a presence in the US. But BiWin has actually also been distributing and selling their products in the US as well for about the last 2 years. And they're slowly increasing their footprint there. They already have a variety of different module configurations in terms of the aesthetics. So this is a non-RGB version here that is a little bit more subdued for those who are looking for a stealthier build. These are also not part of the OC optimized lineup. So you see slightly more modest specifications, but this lineup, the black Opal lineup, has kits going all the way up to 7,200 mega transfers per second and timings all the way down to CL28, available in configurations going up to 64 gigabyte, 32 gig by 2. BiWin also has a series of M.2 SSDs, the black Opal here, for example, that includes a heatsink. These are Gen 5 SSDs. Here's the black Opal without the heatsink, but these are also hitting very impressive read and write speeds, 14,000 megabytes per second reads and 13,000 megabytes per second writes. The white version over here is a Pro, which means it includes a DRAM cache, which is helpful for professional applications if you're doing lots of big transfers. For more day-to-day use for a gaming system, for example, the non-Pro version works just as well, and I'm assuming this uses an SLC cache. So there you go, a quick introduction to BiWin as a brand and some of the products that they currently have available or launching soon that may be available in the US. But they actually have some pretty cool proprietary products or some products in development that they have been working with that I wanted to show you too. Check out this little guy right here. This is actually a 1 terabyte storage drive. It's a PCIe 4.0 mini SSD, and it's a form factor that you probably have not seen before. You can actually see on the bottom there it has LGA pads, and this is a new standard, so BiWin has kind of made it up themselves, but they wanted something that could handle larger capacities. There's actually a 2 terabyte version of this drive that's the same exact size, without sacrificing speed, for example. So we have sequential read and writes of 3,700 and 3,400 megabytes per second respectively. But if you're like, that's so small, what do I do with it? Well, there's a few different things you can do with it. This is a card reader. It actually has an active fan as well to keep things cool while the drive is doing sustained read and writes. But it has a little port there that works similarly to a SIM card on your cell phone, where you would just drop that drive in, which means you could have multiples of those and you could swap them into a card reader like this one, for example. Or they also have some partners they've been working with. So for instance, this is a handheld gaming device, which also has a port for that drive right there on the bottom. So you can imagine, especially if you have lots of games in your library, how cool it would be to be able to just have sort of a SD card reader type thing, but that goes way, way, way faster. Or you could just pop in, another 1 terabyte of games, swap between your FPS games and your MMOs and your RTSs and all that. And here's another unique device that's compatible with that same standard. This is by 1X Player, sort of a crossover device between a very thin and light laptop, but also gaming, because it's got controllers on the side that are removable. It's got kind of a flexible housing here, which is interesting, and a full keyboard, of course, and it is a Windows-based device. So they were able to run Crystal Disk Mark to show the actual read and write speeds to verify the throughput of the drive there. And then just like the card reader and the handheld gaming device we just showed you, there's a little port there so you can add or remove your memory card. SSD, I should say. Your SSD. Rounding things out, BiWin has put together all of their capabilities and access to a variety of memory modules and memory chips to create this. This is a new brand called Origin Code. It's actually not going to be marketed as a BiWin product, but it is manufactured by them. And these are the memory sticks that they're putting together. They're very flashy, very blingy, very reflective, although I have put several fingerprints on this one. The specs for these are pretty crazy if you're into memory. Let's just take a quick look. For a 32 gig, 16 gig by 2 kit, we have a 6,200 mega transfers per second kit at CL26. That's quite impressive, but it gets more impressive when you go up the line here to look at like a 64 gig by 4 kit DDR5 6000 at CL30, or the Meteorite Black is available as a 96 gig kit, 46 gig by 2. It has a dual expo configuration, so you can switch back and forth whether you want really tight timings at DDR5 6000 speed, or whether you want much faster speeds or transfer rates at DDR5 8000 CL36. and with 2 Expo profiles, you can switch back and forth between those. Since these are also heavily binned chips that they're using in these memory modules, they are also capable of going beyond the stated speeds, as some memory kits are, but some are more capable of that than others. So they've also included a triple fan cooler here that mounts on top of the memory, as shown in this build right over here, and it also has RGB LEDs, which are shining through the fans on this side. But I actually kind of like the sort of waterfall design for the RGB LED going down the side as well. And of course, it changes colors because it's RGB. The black versions of the stick have a similar design. They still got sort of that waterfall effect going down the side. They're just black, of course, and you can see it goes across the entire stick on that side and sort of accented to the right on that side. So that is my quick rundown of BiWin's presence here at CES 2026. I want you guys to let me know if you're mad at me for doing a mostly memory-oriented video, given the landscape right now. But BiWin, of course, also has to purchase their wafers from the big 3 fabs, like everyone does. So we're still not 100% sure how things are going to go for 2026. I'm hoping there's a break somewhere. But in the meantime, it's cool to see a manufacturer that's doing the work that they're doing to create products like this. We just hope the market situation changes so that these don't become or stay prohibitively expensive. That's all the time I have for this one. I want to say a huge thank you to my sponsors for CES 2026, Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, and Thermaltake. I have more videos if you want to check the playlist in the video description. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. We'll see you all in the next one.